Do you have a philosophy in life? It's a heavy question. So, this video contains 15 ways you can approach life that will help you find your true purpose. Welcome back to Book Club, an ongoing series where each week I distill one book that has changed the way I look at the world. This week's book, How to Live a Good Life, looks at one question. Why are we here? This is a question as old as humanity itself. It is to answer this question that philosophy and religion were born. This book covers some of humanity's greatest ideologies developed over millennia to understand their approach to life. You do just fine picking any of these philosophies. Just go through this video and look up whichever one you resonate with the most. As usual, you can purchase the book for yourself or gift it to someone from the link in the description. The ancient philosophy of Buddhism values ethics above all. A Buddhist's main purpose in life is to minimize the overall pain and suffering. As long as you do it in the right frame of mind, without getting angry, even the act of killing a dictator can be that of compassion. Compassion for those suffering under the regime. Buddha rejected the notion of his Hindu origins, the concept of an Atma or soul that is permanently trapped in the cycle of birth and death. Instead, he held the belief that our essence is temporary and we should aim to obtain nirvana or salvation by leading selfless, ethical lives. Followers of Confucius believed Buddha's outward-looking view, ignoring yourself, was like closing your eyes to not see your nose. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Confucians believe life is about relationships. We cannot live without others and naturally feel concern about other humans, even animals. This compassion comes from being aware that at some level we are all interconnected. So in order to live well, we must maintain these relationships. Taoism shares Confucianism's sense of interconnectedness, but it puts greater emphasis on our connections with nature, which holds the key to all challenges in life. An ancient story in Taoism is how Taoist Dayu reacted to an approaching flood. Instead of putting up barriers to fight it, Dayu made channels in land to redirect the floods to irrigate lands instead. Taoism teaches that the path to a good life isn't necessarily a straight line. We must embrace the zigzags and take inspiration from nature to overcome them. Aristotle's famous work, Nicomachean Ethics, are the core of Aristotelianism. In it, he argues that we are not in complete control of our fates. A talented artist may never bloom if born in an unsupportive family in a region ravaged by war and dead before they come of age. Aristotle believes that humans only want to flourish, and a life lived to realize as much of our potential as our surroundings allow us to, a eudaimonic life, is a life to be proud of. Stoicism dictates that humans should live moral lives characterized by four virtues: practical wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. A Stoic tries to develop ataraxia, a state of tranquility based on indifference. Stoicism also focuses on the fact that things are not always in our control, and they can be characterized into preferred and dispreferred indifference. For example, being rich is always preferred over being poor, but neither of them is good or bad. In stark contrast with Stoicism, Epicureanism is based on the simple concept of pleasure. Everyone, even babies, avoid pain and seek pleasure, something we call the pleasure aversion faculty. And Epicure practices hedonic calculus. So instead of drinking all beer in one evening, they would space out the drinks to minimize hangover and maximize the hit you get when you take that first sip. The mantra here is not to be overly serious and enjoy life as it comes. The first religion on our list, Hinduism, focuses on the concept of karma or karma, the principle that good or bad things will happen to you based on how you've acted in the past. After you die, you're reborn into a new body and your accumulated karma in the past life, the good things you did that were not reciprocated to you, affects the choice of body that you inhabit. The ultimate aim is to break out of the cycle of birth and death. You do this by building as much good karma as you can to finally reunite with God. Islam upholds a set of scriptures that are said to be the word of God, and the modern interpretation puts humanity at its core. Progressive Islam champions social and gender justice and denounces any kind of extremism. It preaches to seek harmony in all our differences, and a society with multiple faiths can function just as well as any other. Ethical values like justice and fairness do not remain frozen in time, so they must be re-evaluated time and again, and that is the core philosophy of progressive Islam. The Hebrew Bible doesn't tout itself as a text of philosophy, and its true meaning is again subject to interpretation. Through a story about the houses of Shammah and Hillel, the sacred text stresses the importance of variable ideas. During a dispute between the two about the correct interpretation of the sacred text, a voice from heaven interrupts that we must make choices as per the law, but multiple options may be valid, and so multiple interpretations too. Prayer is viewed in Judaism not as asking for favors from God, but an act that is good for our soul and helps us with directions. Another faith where the word of God has to be interpreted as per the situation and the surroundings. Christianity is more like a perspective than a set of rules. It's a collection of ideas that helps us find our own individual meaning. C.S. Lewis put it this way: I believe in Christianity the same way I believe in the sun, not because I see it, but because by it I see everything else. Christianity is about finding meaning without being prescriptive about it. The rule of God is slowly fading away as the driving force of morals in today's world. Ethical culture is a non-theistic religion that emphasizes empathy and the value of a community. While equality, especially gender and social equality, do not exist in ethical culture, it also emphasizes on the traditional values like having a clergy system, for example. We finally move on from religions back to philosophies. Secular humanism is one which stresses the importance of independent thinking. It encourages us to have a moral compass without the framework of a religion. Secular humanism is a blanket term for many worldviews, and it is not meant to exclusively define your philosophy. Humans are meant to choose parts of other philosophies that they see fit and act accordingly. Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir argued that having been born, we are conscious and are free to make our own choices. In Sartre's words, we are condemned to be free. Existentialists don't let themselves be defined by any set of beliefs. Humans are complex, and so is the world, and things change all the time. And so our choices should not come from the domain of the belief system of somebody else in their own time. We are to use absolute freedom in any and every choice that we make. Another philosophy that draws on a bleak reality is American pragmatism. We all may die at any moment, so instead of trying to achieve perfection, we must incrementally move towards making things better. While there are differing ways of doing this, like by living an individualistic lifestyle or by putting emphasis on community, the pursuit of ideals like beauty, truth, and goodness is common to all of them. Effective altruism asks one question: how to maximize one's positive impact on the world. Its roots lie in the principle of utilitarianism, that is, the pursuit to achieve the greatest happiness for the greatest number. It directly facilitates ideas like women's rights that better the lives of half the human population. In a way, it logically follows that we ought to take the highest paying careers, live frugally, and donate most of our earnings. To conclude, humans have been grappling with the idea of a good life for thousands of years, and these were some of the most popular paths to achieve it. It doesn't matter what philosophy you grew up with. What matters is you being open to choosing a path of goodness that resonates most with you.